I call to order this regular meeting of the Monument Town Council Monday, July 21st. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Simpson, you take roll, please. Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Okay. Any disclosures of conflicts of interest?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, before us, we have an agenda and the consent agenda. Any modifications to either? Has the modification to the minutes of June 16th been republished? Well, they will be though. Right. Okay. There was one modification that I brought to their attention earlier, and
So that's been rectified?
yes,
Okay.
July 2nd.
June 16th.
No, but Laura, you had ones for July 7th.
No.
No. Okay. So then if we've got the agenda and consent agenda,
So I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda and the agenda as presented.
Second.
that motion passes 7-0. All right. First up, resolution 48, 2025, resolution authorizing town manager to file the 2024 audit with the state auditor. Who will be presenting? Well, she's sending up one of the henchmen.
That would be me. So I'm Steve Murray, Senior Accountant. I'm going to be presenting Dimitri with DMC Auditing and Consulting as he'll be presenting our audit.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Thank you for having me here to present the 2024 audit and financial statements to you all. So the way I do our presentations, there's a lot of audit lingo and a lot of unnecessary technical terminology that goes into this presentation. So I try to keep it as layman's terms as possible and try to keep everybody awake. So I will try to, what I will talk about is what we are responsible for as auditors, which is our audit opinion and the procedures that we perform for the town for the 2024 audit. Please, since this is my first time presenting to you, please interrupt me if you have any questions or if anything comes up. Please feel free to ask me as I go. And then subsequently, I will present the results of the audit and kind of talk about what happened. So our audit objectives are to obtain what's called a reasonable assurance. So that's if you're looking at the PDF, it's on page 5 of the PDF or page 2 of the report, the actual report. Our responsibility is what I'm going over. So we obtain a reasonable assurance, and the keyword there is reasonable, about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, and the key word there is material. And materiality is something that all auditors use. Essentially, it's a threshold of what anything going above a certain threshold, we will look at, we will review. We'll also do risk assessment, which I'll go over in here in a minute. And whether it's due to error or fraud, and to issue the auditor's report that includes our opinions. So we perform procedures to establish comfort to issue an opinion on your financial statements. In performing the audit, we follow the generally accepted auditing standards and the government auditing standards. We also exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. Obviously, we're independent auditors for the town. You as a town council hire us to perform the audit on management financial statements, and so we have done so. We identify and assess the risk of material misstatement of the financial statements, whether due to error or fraud. And really what that means is we look at various financial aspects of the financial report and the accounting documents, and we look at areas that we need to focus on, where we feel that there is the most risk. We follow generally accepted auditing standards, which kind of guide us on and we use our judgment to determine what is a significant risk, what is an area that we need to focus on a little bit more than other areas. For example, we also use materiality, as I mentioned previously, which is a threshold. Obviously, if we audit everything, we're going to be here for several months, if not years. So we don't look at everything. We look at things that what we consider relevant. As part of this, we have to sort of understand how the organization operates. So we look at the internal controls and we try to understand how the internal controls operate at the town. We will look at things from payroll, accounts payable, credit cards. We'll look at various things that we feel there's probably a significant risk to, and that we can understand how the controls operate, which kind of gives us the comfort and sort of helps us assess risk, as well as determine what procedures we're going to do. So we do a walkthrough with management. We spoke to your team. We did an interview and kind of walked through the processes in place, and then we followed that up with several tests and we sampled some items, whether it's payroll, credit card, or invoices. And then we evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies and the reasonableness of significant accounting estimates. So we look at various policies that the town has, financial policies, that is. We don't look at every policy, but financial policies, we'll definitely look at those, and we look at anything that's what we consider a significant estimate that on your financial statements. Not every number in there is a number you can pin down to an invoice or a bank statement. There's some numbers on there that are estimates that we have to follow based on generally accepted accounting principles. And with that being said, really, we use our judgment to determine if there's any events that in the financials that may have maybe caused the town to be, and any financial issues moving forward. We haven't identified any of that or anything significant. And so that being said, we have performed our procedures, and we have what's called an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion for the town. I believe that's what's common here. So and that's really the result of our audit, and I'm happy to stand for any questions and answer anything you need.
Any questions or comments from the council? Do you want a few minutes to review it? Okay.
I'm happy to, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer any emails or anything you need. And
No, it seems pretty comprehensive to me.
Yeah,
I read through your report.
it's good report, and I especially like the graphs that kind of, I'm visual, so that to me that was very helpful. So thank you for that.
Councilmember Ferreira, I will credit your team for doing that. They put together the MD&A, the management discussion analysis, so that's kudos to them.
We do have a good financial team here.
Yes, you do. They were great to work with, and Jennifer and Steve and Lori, they were great to work with. They really did a thorough job on reviewing the financials and making sure everything's right. It's a pleasure to work with them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, well, this is the one thing we're technically voting on tonight. No, this is not a public hearing item. This is just a resolution to allow Madeline to file the 2024 audit with the state.
I make a motion to accept resolution number 40, 2025, a resolution authorizing the town manager to file a 2024 audit with the state auditor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Simpson. And that resolution passes 7-0. Okay. Next up, we have a discussion on state mandated land use regulations. Mr. Ungerleider, before you begin, I just want to re-inform council that this stemmed from the legislative work that Mayor Pro Tem King and I participated in during with Madeline during the course of the legislative session. There were several bills that had some timelines tied to them as far as whether the town decided to do something about these or not. And so it appears that our planning department, along with our attorneys, put together a nice presentation for us on each of these bills that have an impact or maybe not to the town, as well as our home rule charter.
And this is also related to the email that we got from, hang on. Did you see that email from, I think, the CML? Did you see that?
Probably.
Hang on. Beverly Stables.
Oh, you're going back a ways, not just recently.
Well, the 9th of July 9th. From Beverly Stables. Did you guys see that email about
About the impact.
well, it says CML is aware of communication from DOLA to some of our members regarding non-compliance with HB 24-1152, which is the ADU law.
Yeah, and there's,
A lot of people were in that.
yeah,
Okay.
and there's lawsuits that have made the news. There's 6
Okay.
municipalities that'll come up later, but
Roger. Okay.
got it.
Thanks. So in your packet, you've got a copy of this presentation as well as these 2 memos that the town attorney's office has put together. These are all one big happy family of information. I'm going to be going through each of those different each of the pieces of legislation that have passed over the last 2 years that actually have a direct impact on our land use policies. Please stop me in between if you want to talk about it amongst yourselves and discuss, because we want to give you the option here to direct staff on what we're going to tackle and what we're going to make a priority. I know I'll get to ADU. Well, actually, ADUs is one of our first items. We've already requested an extension to that so that we're and because we do have the planning department will be bringing something in front of you in the near future to address ADUs. So let me just cover exactly what the law says. So we're required through House Bill 24-1152 to support ADU development in our community. Not only support it, but to promote it. It requires an administrative approval for ADUs. It establishes that we can't use parking to prevent ADUs from being approved in the appropriate zoning districts. It allows for us to actually create zoning rules about it. So setbacks, lot coverage, and other design elements. We can't be more stringent in the law, but we can create rules. And it just continues to show how to support accessory dwelling units. You do have ADUs already in your code. So we're not out there saying that you can't have it. We already have created that. We already allow it for it to be administrative. So we're almost into compliance. There's just some things that we're going to have to modify to really fit this. Let's see. I think some of the interesting parts really once you get past through all what you can do and what you can apply for the ADU, it really comes down to encouraging ADUs for low. We have to come up with a program to show how we're supporting and encouraging it for workforce housing, affordable workforce housing. We have to have a program of some sort that we're going to have to show DOLA that we're going out of our way. It could be having a set of ADU plans that are free that we can hand out to somebody. It could be an incentive program. There's certain things. So we're going to have to come up with something, and we'll bring some recommendations to you to do that, and then you can certainly then give us guidance on what you want, don't want. We don't get a lot of phone calls for ADUs, and it's not because it's not in our code. So just keep that in mind. And we're going to promote. We could show for it, but there's nobody coming. We don't have a big stampede of people coming in asking for it. So I'm not as worried about this as some might be. We can certainly address the design elements and how it impacts our streets and other things, but just understand that we're not getting a lot of demand for it.
I heard you use affordable workforce housing. Are we using these terms interchangeably?
No, but keep in mind, so one of the reasons we received a grant for our comprehensive plan update was to do a housing assessment and come up with a housing plan to make sure that we're providing housing for all sorts of folks. And I use workforce housing very carefully because I'm a workforce person. You're a workforce person. There's different elements in it. So what the state is requiring through this and other incentive programs such as the DOLA grant that we have for the comp plan is that making sure that we're thinking it out, thinking through how we can make sure that we have a diverse set of housing available to our residents and other people who work in our community. So this is really just in the same theme. It's just making sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we don't have a big demand for them yet, but we could possibly. And in some municipalities, like I worked on ADUs when I was on the planning commission up in Denver area. And mostly it was done because there was a lot of non-conforming uses that were already in the town. But one thing we were concerned about was people coming in and buying up houses and then building 2 ADUs in the backyard to just use it strictly for rentals. So we made it that one of those units had to be owner occupied. I don't know if you can do that with the state law or not, but just look at that. Also, this does put a stress on the planning department and administration and other things. And in addition to that, it creates more impervious areas, which is going to potentially have some issues with our stormwater management. And so somehow we have to recover that costs. And I brought up once before, but I'll just bring it up again about, tap fees for these with maybe it's a separate address of 1/2 or whatever, and that money could be used for stormwater if it can be done. Because when it's top down like this, it strains us, it strains our water system, it strains our stormwater, it strains the fact that we can't control parking and we can't control occupancies and we can't control a lot of things. So somehow we have to be able to make that up.
Thank you. And we'll look at all that. We do have the ability to say that you can't have multiple ADUs on a single property. I believe there's something about ownership or rent and being tied to the main property. We're going to look at all of that to make sure that our neighborhoods are protected. A lot of our houses are really close together already through our normal zoning, so it's going to be hard to find a way to put an ADU behind it, but it could be addition on the side or having a separate entrance. So we're going to look at all of that.
Yeah, downtown is the area that would be easiest for sure.
Yeah.
The other, to kind of piggyback on what Steve said, is not just the strain on the stormwater system, but then also And it's a good thing to look at tap fees, but how, is there a way to model the strain on the water infrastructure? Because we assumed X residential construction, but with ADUs, how much more impact will that drive on our water demand? And because that should generate the tap fee appropriate to that stress level, right?
I'm not confident that we'll be able to show a one-on-one type of stress. If you think about it, you could have a 4 or 5 bedroom house now on a property with a full develop or a full basement that's got another family room and another kitchen, another bedroom. So I'm not sure that's really going to take us anywhere. But we could certainly take a look and see how that tap might work, or how having two buildings on one, or however it works. So we'll look at that. But I think it would be hard to just poke it down to just a single property.
Right, because normally a single family home, there's a number associated in terms of water use. And then apartments is, I think, a quarter of that, or there's a way to calculate.
Right.
So has anybody thought, what's the calculation for ADUs? So if a single family home is I think 1.3, I forget the calculation for a single family home with, and then apartment complexes is X. Has anybody looked at ADUs is Y in terms of calculating?
Tom knows.
I believe I can't remember exactly, but I believe 1.3 is pretty close.
Okay.
It's all about fixture counts,
That's our
and
estimate.
depending on what you're trying to build,
Yep.
this helps determine your demand, and
So
that determines the size of your
Correct.
service line.
And so I would be interested to see if anybody at the state level, since they like to tell us how to do things, have they even thought of, have they calculated what ADUs are going to drive in terms of water use for us to then calculate tap fees?
I think that a lot of our brothers and sister municipalities are probably thinking about similar
Yeah.
things, so we'll get to talk with them. But again, a fixture is a fixture, whether it's in a separate 500 square foot apartment or ADU, or it is part of a house. So I think that's going to be a tough argument, but we'll certainly look at all those.
Thank you.
Is you brought up, we haven't really discussed lot size, because, but you did mention that like a lot of the development has been approved for what I would consider high density, because like for Home Place Ranch, the homes are 15 feet apart. So the setbacks, and then trying to put a 500 square foot, no larger than 800 square foot ADU in that small lot.
I think what the point I was trying to make is, I mean, you could do an accessory structure behind your home now. That's not the problem. The problem is, how do you get the car back there? If there's a driveway or some way to get back there. So I think that's going to probably be a deterrence in some cases. But we'll take a real good look at that as we're refining our existing code. So we can answer that. But as we're having this conversation, keep in mind, the law was written in a way that we're promoting, and we're trying to show I'm going to make sure the planning department and with our attorney's office is we're not only promoting, but we're also protecting. So we'll look at it carefully.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
And I had a quick comment, I guess. So recently my insurance company, my car and home insurance company, the same, came and did a review and said that my shed was too close to the home. It was like less than 30 feet. If I were to tear that down and build an ADU, I mean, wouldn't some insurance companies have issue with that? How do we resolve those kinds of things?
So you want to check with your insurance company whenever you're doing something on your property. It's usually it's the type of use and then the proximity of two buildings together. There might be different standards for fire protection or fire separation. it's usually closer than 30 feet. So that seems kind of a great distance, but if they're too close, then there's usually a construction standard that you have to follow. The regional building department will look at that as they're approving the permit for that structure. And then your insurance company is going to react the way they react. So I always start with them. And when you go to buy a car, I talk to them first too. So yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, that was the easy one.
Okay, so you're at the end of this one, right?
I'm at the end of this one.
Okay, so my question for this one and every other one.
Mhm.
So this violates our home rule charter and the state constitution as a home rule municipality on usurping our land use and zoning codes. So what is the penalty if we don't follow this particular one? Has DOLA come out with a list of penalties?
I believe the DOLE is you could be losing your opportunity for grant support and other financial support that would come from the state. So our comprehensive plan is funded by a DOLA grant. So next time we go to request money, we might not get it simply because we're not complying with their requirements, the state statute requirements.
Okay, but I just for the council, I mean, this is the kind of thing that Mayor Pro Tem King and I hear throughout the legislative session. For every time the state determines there is a statewide, well, they don't use the term statewide, a matter of statewide concern. And the Constitution prohibits this kind of thing where the legislators decide what we can and cannot do as a home rule charter. And the legislators did it anyway. So whether DOLA can legally withhold funds from us for that remains to be seen. There'll be challenges, obviously. Was there any other penalties as far as grant support? Was there, there's one that has Hufty funds being held ransom. Also, I don't remember which one off the top of my head, but I just, there's going to be a question to the council as to our participation in either from a letter of support to the municipalities that have the finances to sue the state, or are we actively engage in the lawsuit ourselves because this isn't the only one.
Mhm.
And even though we have an ADU, we have ADU stuff on the books, they are now telling us how we're going to manage. And we have no say anymore because it's an administrative process, right? This will never come before the
It was
council.
administrative.
You're
before.
administrative now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if we wanted to change it, we wouldn't be able to.
No, they're requiring it be administrative.
Right. So you see it that way also, right? This is something that we could either provide a letter of support to those municipalities that are actively engaged in suit against the state, or we actively participate and fund it.
I think those are your choices. Yeah.
Okay. So this has a punishment if we don't follow.
Yes.
Okay.
Potentially. I mean, there's our municipalities are talking now. They're looking at each of these, and we'll see which ones get challenged and which ones don't. But yeah, but potentially if you don't follow the law, they can withhold something else because you're no longer in compliance.
What happens when you don't follow the Constitution of the state?
You sue them.
I'm just saying, what happens to the representatives under the Gold Dome?
Nothing. They to get sued. And that's
Okay.
what it looks like is happening.
Next,
There we go.
good idea, Ferry.
Here we go. Senate Bill 24-174, Sustainable Affordable Assistance. It's addressing affordable housing. It requires monument to conduct in public and a housing action plan without going far in it. You're already doing it. That's what the updating your comprehensive plan is. It's going to be part of this process. You may have met Fern. I don't know her being on there tonight, but that's her piece in the comprehensive plan. She's developed both. I think what's important to note on this are the timing elements of it, which we are far ahead of right now. So we will have our plan done before the end of next year. Within 3 years after you adopt the plan, the town is required to submit a progress report. We're going to be doing that internally, just like we do with the audits. We're going to be looking with our implementation steps with our comp plan. So there's really nothing they're not asking anything that we wouldn't be doing on our own. And every 6 years, we have to update that. What it does do, though, is it allows us to tag on to the regional housing assessment. So it doesn't necessarily put pressure on us to do our own every 6 years and hire a consultant or do that. Jump in with the county, and that's part of the overall. And then, so I've told you before that we're going to be redoing our comp plan on a regular. I'm already working with and Madeline when we're going to come back and do it again so we could budget and save for it.
But we'll be reviewing it annually, yes?
Well, that's what I wanted. That's what I want to do. Once we get those implementation steps in here, we're going to come back and look at it annually as part of process, but we'll work on that when we get the. Any questions on that one? Okay. House 241173 electric vehicle charging charge permit. It addresses streamlining the process for permitting electric motor vehicle charging stations, and it applies to our municipality of 10,000 people or greater. This was supposed to be done before December 31st of 2025. We were supposed to adopt an ordinance that was similar to the Colorado Energy Office code for EV chargers, establish standards or to continue the system that we have now. I have not taken a closer look at this to see what we need to change in our code. If anything, it could be that we're actually in compliance, but I do want to report back to the powers that be, so, and let them know we either complied or we didn't.
Do we
If
have
there's something different, I'll let you know.
Do we have a EV charging system permit?
No, we don't. And we don't,
Great.
we do allow EV charging, but we don't go much beyond that. But we also have a relationship with the regional building department, and they do issue permits for that. So they might already take care of this for us. So I want to make sure that if they do, then that's how we'll report it, is through the building code and the electric code and the energy conservation code, that we're already in compliance with it. So this might be a nothing, but this is something that we have to comply with, and we were supposed to have complied with it at the end of last year.
What yours says December 31st, 2025.
Oh, the end of this year. Thank you. I took my glasses off so I could see you. I apologize. And then we have a report that's due to them on March 1st, 2026. So thank you for pointing that out. This one I knew about for a while. House Bill 251113 is limiting turf in new residential developments. This is about water conservation and not planting plants that are just going to die. You have to, unless you overwater them. We have to show compliance by January the 1st of 2026. It's continuous coverage that is non-native grasses. So I would hope most of us aren't planting non-native stuff that's not going to survive here. Functional turf is something that is used for recreation uses. And then there's also functional artificial turf, which includes components that are designed by a professional engineer, including covers for solid waste facilities and other brownfield sites. I'm not familiar with those, but we'll look at those. The town is required to amend its code to establish this restriction by January 1st of 2028. So we have plenty of time. I think this one makes sense as far as water conservation goes. It's preventing people from coming in with lavish landscape plans that require lots of watering. I think you guys would agree with that, but we want to make sure that we're being smart in our growth.
Isn't there a restriction in this too on artificial turf where no use is permitted for artificial turf anymore? Isn't that part of this?
So I do recall that. I mean, I think that has to do with stormwater management and making sure that water can go through that artificial turf. And but I'd have to take a closer look at that.
I think their argument was that it creates heat islands.
I have two of my favorite.
What we do have in here through our analysis is it doesn't affect ball fields and other public recreation areas. I have heard on, through, I think from a previous law, not this one, that where you couldn't put AstroTurf out or artificial turf for a front yard anymore. And
That's in a lot of the, that's in a lot of the thank you, a lot of the various HOAs put that in. I don't think that was a state.
Well, it is.
So
a law.
it's- yeah, it's- I think
It's a-
the state did it when they said you can grow gardens in your front yard too.
yeah, I'll have to take a closer look at that. That's already, but that was a previous bill. And this one's a little different, but I'll take
But
a look
I
at
would
that.
be all for promoting xeriscaping, just because of the water situation that we have.
Yeah.
I asked because the state has a grant. They have a couple $1 million. This is the initiative that they started a couple years ago, but you'd have to apply for it. And when I was here, I asked, were we going to participate in that or apply? And
Was that me?
some staff members said, we're not interested.
Oh,
When
Well-
the staff members are no longer here, so it might be an opportunity to look at again because they have the money to do it. And
It was my understanding that we would have to administer that program to allow residents to apply for that grant. And we
Yes.
don't have a person to administer that program.
there you go.
And so that's what the reason was for not looking at that.
so we have no room to grow or have someone administer that program at all or to initiate
It
it.
would have to pay for an employee. I mean, we're pretty stretched as it is, so I can understand why we would hesitate to bring in someone to administer a grant. But
We can look at it when we're flush with cash.
yeah. But I understand what you're asking for. Senate Bill 25002, regional building codes for factory built structures. It addresses regional building codes for these structures such as tiny homes and module homes. The law prohibits municipalities from having or enacting zoning regulations, subdivision regulations, or any other regulations affecting development that excludes or has the effect of excluding Division of Housing certified factory built structures and Department of Housing and Urban Development certified manufactured structures. I decided I was going to read that to you verbatim because it's a lot of words. It's about, again, it's about housing affordability. It's providing another form of housing in town. But we already delegate a lot of that through our building codes and to the regional building department. So I don't believe there's anything that we need to do here. And we'll continue to follow up with the regional building department if there's something that they change through future updates and we don't like it. You have the ability to make modifications to that. So we'll keep an eye on it, but there's no action required at this point. But it is in the same theme of making sure that there's enough housing out there that's affordable.
What if the factory built structure is an ADU?
Well, it could be.
Could be.
I did what I didn't like about this section is it does allow for us to make sure that the structures are safe. There you go. So residential occupancy limits. This one didn't surprise me. This is kind of an old one. House Bill 1007 addresses prohibitions of residential occupancy limits. Basically, based on
Familial.
is good stuff. It's good stuff. It's based on relationships in the family. The truth, this is there's case law behind this. You can't just say that your family's too big or that person is not in your family and therefore you have too many people living there. The building code already effectively establishes an occupancy load based on the size and the fixtures that are in the home and so on. It's already governed by the building code. We're probably just going to have to go and take our definition of family and modify it or remove it. It doesn't really matter. So when somebody builds a house, we can tell you how many people could safely live in the home. It doesn't matter. The relationship, it doesn't matter anymore. So effectively what this is asking us to do is just to tie ourselves back over to the building code. So that's what we'll be doing. And when we come in with our chapter 18 updates or title 18 updates, that you'll see that one in there. It's It's already taken care of by another code. So any questions about that? Backflow prevention devices. Who doesn't want to talk about that?
I don't even understand this one. I know what a backflow prevention device is, but why this?
Well,
This doesn't even make sense. So
Doesn't even-
someone,
Went through this.
someone who's
Yeah, I know,
inspecting
but it doesn't even make sense.
doesn't have to be licensed. So what are they looking to?
well,
It's pigs looking at a watch.
Hang on a second. So there's a story behind this as well as the ones related to the electric fence, which I'll get to.
Yeah.
This was lobbied hard by a specific industry that deals with backflow prevention devices. They wanted to be the only kids in the playhouse that are allowed to do certain things as it pertains to them.
Okay.
Notice that we can't go on to a website and buy our own and install it on our own. It has to be done because these people lobbied hard in order to get the privilege of having a law created for them.
Okay. Well, I had the same reaction. So, and I actually had to talk several times to Tom Martinez to make sure I understood it right. And he and I had a problem trying to figure out what this was about. Turns out we have it completely backwards to what the state wants. So we're going to have to come back and modify our code so that we're removing the requirements that requires any person inspecting, testing, or repairing the backflow preventer from having to be licensed, but require licenses for persons installing or removing the backflow prevention device.
I think it's being repaired when it's being removed and reinstalled personally.
We'll take a close look at that, but that's where we are with that one. Electronic fence detection systems. Mayor, do you want to explain that one?
Well, this one came up because of one electric fence company in the state lobbying hard for this. The interesting part about it is that we don't have a permitting system for alarms. Because if we did, then the electronic fencing company would have to follow the same permitting process. Now, other places I've lived, like in Scottsdale, you had to register your alarm with the city because they wanted to know how many times a police officer is going to make a call for service for the alarm that's going off because a kid opened something up mistakenly, a false alarm. And if you got too many, the city would bill you. Right. So we could put in a permit for alarms. I don't know if that's something that the police department would want, and if there was a way to manage that in additional, because based on what you just said, we can't manage grant program for xeriscaping. I don't know that this would pay for itself and how you get everybody that's already grandfathered in, if that makes any sense. But the electronic fencing ordinance basically says you'd have to adopt a permitting process. Otherwise, they get to go, I mean, they almost get to go do what they want. Now, I think we can regulate the residential areas very specifically based on the zoning if we don't want them to have electric fences, right?
So I would say that I'd have to talk to the police department to see if this is a problem. Otherwise, this is there's no action required. It just kind of gives us the option if we wanted to do it. But I'd have to see if the numbers of false alarms and other things really affect them or not.
So 500 and something laws were passed this year. So
They were busy and this, yeah.
a little drop in the bucket right here.
Another one that doesn't require any action, but I have the duty to share this with you. Is local government duties concerning measures affecting equestrians. I'm going to just stop right there.
This is Haley because she's got several horses on her.
Oh, here. So this addresses counties and municipalities' duties and abilities to ensure representation of the equestrian community in transportation, recreation, and land use planning.
So the trail system that we're going to build
That's
needs to
right.
be horse friendly.
So come and speak, Haley, when you'll be represented here.
No actions required, and you would never turn someone down to speak. We wanted to speak to you anyways.
That's right.
Those horsey refuse bags are gonna be brutal.
This is going to go on all night. This is going to be fun. House Bill 24-1313, housing and transit oriented communities. I'm just going to very quickly tell you that doesn't apply here. We are not a transit oriented community.
Yeah,
So
yet.
possibly trails different, but this is something different. We don't have a train just yet. We don't have to worry about this one right now. Motor vehicle access for individuals with disabilities. House Bill 1161 is aimed at improving motor vehicle access for these people, for individuals with disabilities. There's nothing required of us at this time. And oh, you missed a mistake.
You missed a
Mike,
mistake.
you missed a mistake, Counselor
You
Conick.
get a demerit.
So Senate Bill 24048 addresses substance use disorder recovery residences and requires recovery residents to be classified as a residential use of property for zoning purposes, subject only to the regulations of like dwellings in the same zone. Therefore, I mean, they if this type, someone wants to create a group home or a home in your town for this purpose, it would be treated just like any other single family residence. And if it's done properly, you wouldn't even know it happened. But that's what this is.
Yeah,
This is
except
what's
for we
creating.
can look back in history at what happens when this town tries to create a location for recovery.
That's different, right?
You start having these pop up and so we can't stop these.
It's requiring us to treat them as single family homes. If
Yeah,
they're-
so again,
Yeah.
go back to my first thing, violating home rule land use ordinances from our charter.
But this is a group home, not a recovery.
Well, no, it's I'm just kind of putting it in the same package.
Substance-
It's substance.
Substance use.
Yeah, I mean, it's a recovery home, so somebody owns the home and people are allowed to work, live in there while they're going through recovery. And
So they can recover wherever they want, but we can zone out where the mushrooms are.
You're asking many rhetorical questions tonight.
Well, I mean, yes, but that's really what it boiled down to.
Well, it's recovery, not use.
Yeah,
Well-
it's a recovery home. And it's just making sure that there are people who have homes in a neighborhood where other people live. House Bill 25-1093, limitations on local anti-growth land use policies. The law allows the town to seek judicial determination of the legality of a proposed land use ordinance restricting or limiting the development of or use of land which was submitted by a petition. The land tolls the time period to adopt an initiated ordinance or call an election on the ordinance until the judicial action or any appeal is concluded. The way I read this is actually on our side. It's giving us the ability to challenge things that are coming in and stops like that. Did I cover that, Brad? Or do you have anything to add for that?
No, I think you're right.
Okay, so there's really no action required, and we like this one, so we're going to take one as a positive. House Bill 24-1107, judicial review of local land use decisions.
So I hate this bill, but you can go ahead.
Well, no, I would understand it. So the law requires court to grant reasonable attorney's fees to prevailing government entities in any action for judicial review of local land use decisions involving residential uses with a net project density of 5 dwelling units per acre or more. So higher, more, it's got to be a certain size development. The law also provides that an action for judicial review of a land use decision does not affect the validity of a decision and that the decision may be relied on in good faith or for all purposes until the action is resolved. I would turn to you for help on this one. It does set what you can and cannot do when it comes to challenges.
Well, and if it's providing for attorney's fees, that's actually
But it's one-sided.
attorney's fees to prevailing governmental entities though. So that's,
Well, that's what you mean by one-sided. The government can collect its attorney's fees, but
But the government can collect its attorney fees when a citizen group challenges it. When a developer challenges it, that's not the case. It's one-sided. When we went through this, we were in support of it originally when it was on both sides. And then they took out the one side. So if we decide to decline a development, the developer can come and sue us for attorney fees. If a citizen group goes and challenges it, they can't recover attorney fees.
I'll have to look into that more. I don't know why there would be a difference between a citizen group versus a developer.
Because the people under the Gold Dome determined there was.
Because, yeah,
And that might be the case,
Right.
but that would definitely seem to be an interesting,
If I understood that one, I think it was to not create a barrier to allow citizenry from challenging government.
no, it's the opposite.
It's the
Because what used to be, it used to be with all these 106 complaints, there was no recovering of attorney fees. So I guess what I'm doing is I'm saying it wrong. The government entity can go after the citizen group for attorney fees, but not go after the developer for attorney fees.
It seems weird because doesn't that create two classes of citizens?
that's what it doesn't, that
Does,
doesn't
yeah,
make complete
okay.
sense to me. I would have to look
Okay.
into that more.
We'll
Okay,
look
Yeah,
at
yeah,
it further.
look into
I'd be
it
Yeah.
interested.
because that's how it ended up being. And because the whole purpose of this was to deter frivolous lawsuits,
Well,
right?
and they use the venue as an example in with our local conversations where the citizens rose up to sue Colorado Springs and venue and as a land use decision, and the citizens lost. And of course, well, there wasn't a way for them for venue or the city to collect attorney's fees, but
Yeah,
that
so
was one.
so it should just be, well, it doesn't matter what it is. It's a law now, but it should have just been fair. And well, when you look into it, you'll see.
Well, yeah.
I don't
definitely will.
remember the nuances because this has been like a year now, but
Take a look at the memo too. There's a lot more detail, and if I skirted something, it wasn't on purpose. Take a look at it. There might be more in there that describes what it's trying to do, and we'll get more information for you as well.
sure. Again, we
Um,
can't do anything about it. It's a law. so.
It's just a lot, yeah. And then these here are, there's no action required or it's not applicable. Modernization of the state plane coordinate system. There's only one person in this building that cares, and it's Connie when she's making her maps. But there's nothing that we need to do. Minimum parking requirements for municipalities, we're not big enough, so we're doing just fine, but you'll see the city and the county are talking a lot about that. Protecting tribal lands, that's something, of course, that's not affecting us. Local government review of fencing projects, not applicable to us as well. And the last one was House Bill 1273, which was residential building stair modernization for municipalities with a population of 100,000 or greater. You should see the home builders and how they're reacting to it. I'm not sure I understand why the law is that way, but it's going to affect development in Springs for sure.
We know why it's because if you reduce an entire staircase, the amount of space that takes up apparently is equal to another dwelling unit.
They don't like this.
They don't- No, well,
Yeah,
the state likes it.
right.
The fire department doesn't like it. I'm
Right.
sure the police department doesn't like it. And it's one of the more stupid bills that came out of Denver this year.
So I just wanted to thank Bob Cole's office for putting this together and going through this, and I'll continue to work with them to update the code accordingly. And I always know when I bring it to you that you might challenge it or why we're doing it, and hopefully we'll have the right information so you can make a sound decision. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thought that was gonna
That's
go-
what I said.
I actually thought that was gonna go all night, but I'm glad it didn't. Just know that this is what Steve and I have to endure January through May. And 567 or 76 bills this
Well,
year.
now you have company. Commissioner.
He doesn't come to our meetings. But I know he goes up and testifies. So I'm sure he hears about these things too that will impact the county.
And he probably knows the most about 1107. So when he comes up, he can tell us.
Okay. We are at that point for public comment. Public comments for items not on the agenda. Individuals attending in person may raise their hand to indicate their desire to comment. Individuals attending via Teams may raise their hand digitally to comment via connected devices. Please lower your hand when finished with your comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Is there anybody here in town hall that would like to make a public comment? Come on down, sign the papers, and You'll get your 3 minutes. We need to move the entire table.
That was mean.
Her feet touch the floor. It's good.
So Brandy Turner, 2065 Bobcat Valley Court. Mayor, council members, thank you for your time. Thank you for what you guys do. And a lot of time doing good things for our community. I have two things. One that came up when we were watching the votes earlier. I noticed that it's electronic and it appears to be a yes, no, but if I recall correctly, our charter did require a no vote to have an explanation. So I'm just wondering how that works. Secondly, I want to talk about a little bit about history and Monument. Our history goes back to 1879. We've got history back in the 1900s, history back into the even early 2000s. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about naming of streets. There's a very exciting, scary, sad, happy moment coming up for the Connexus development, where they're actually coming to fruition a lot of the work that Save Monument worked with Connexus on for years in trying to get a development in there that is acceptable to the community, that works from the developer standpoint, but that we can also accept as people who live in the area that's going to be affected by that. So you guys know that Old Denver Highway will be rerouted. The existing stretch of asphalt will turn into a local feeder. Is that the right word?
Sure.
Let's call it a local feeder. So we've a couple of us in that community that live over here on the west side, right off of Old Denver Highway, have been talking about naming that street and going back to history. So history doesn't have to be over 100 years ago, 150 years ago. History can be as recent as 2020, 2021. So I think naming that street something that nods to the history of what happened there for that development. It was one of the largest community gatherings, community outreaches, and community activist moments that we've had in Monument. The town planner that was there at that first meeting said she had never, including in Colorado Springs, seen that many people come to a meeting. So people are really passionate about this area. So I want to talk about history. So we've got Pastimes over there. We've got a street called Ranchero. We've got Wagons West. We've got Trails End. We've got Santa Fe Trails, and all of those speak to the history of this area, even though we may not be familiar with it recently. So I'd like to propose calling that street Wandering Cow Way for the current history of what's been happening in that pasture over the past decade with the cows. Everybody loves them. The donkeys, we've got a nod to them in one of the other developments. So I'd like to propose from a historical standpoint that you guys put out and support Wandering Cow Way over there. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to make a quick address your comment about the electronic votes. So the charter, I don't remember it saying anything about no votes requiring explanations, but the abstain wasn't permitted. And we had some discussions about that, and there's a little bit of a First Amendment issue there, but what we will do from here, at least what I will do, I can't speak to everybody else because I've always done this. Whenever I have a no vote, I give an explanation. My explanation would probably be in advance of the vote. So, but I do agree with you that no votes should have an explanation.
And that's also though, we can't compel the speech. So if someone votes no, we can't compel them to give us a reason why.
Including and abstaining.
Abstention needs to be available as a First Amendment issue.
But it is in the charter, so it does have some weight, just from being in the charter. So,
anybody else would like to speak?
Thank you, Brandy.
Mayor, just to let you know, we do have one person that raised their hand that is remote.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm Janet Ladowski, 17010 Snowwood. And like Brandy, I'm also off Old Denver Road. Just piggybacking on her quickly, the developer came up with Crossfield Drive. I was at one of the meetings for that. But I think taking a look at it and doing something historical gives that story a chance to be told in the future, just like Dirty Woman Creek. And every once in a while it pops up and we learn why it's called Dirty Woman Creek. And I hope that's never changed. But the reason I'm here is to talk about water. So right now, from what I understand, and my background is, I'm also on the Monument Sanitation Board. So I've been involved in water, and my background is in water quality ecosystems analysis. So right now, from what I understand, we're looking at the loop to bring in water because of our concern with the aquifer, which is non-renewable. And we're looking at what a $60 million plus project, or the Northern Delivery System through Triview. Both of those depend on surface water, which in a semi-arid climate is very tenuous. I attended the meeting when the loop was presented, and that was my concern right from the beginning. So there is another source of water that I'm not hearing much about. It was brought up at a sanitation board meeting, and recently when I did a tour of our Tri-Lakes wastewater facility, the manager there brought it up, and that is capturing water directly from our sewage treatment plant. I did a little bit of research. There's two ways that can be done in Colorado law, and one is called direct potable reuse, where it's captured directly from the sewage treatment plant. And the other way is an environmental buffer, where it's captured from a stream or a reservoir or an aquifer. It would require, of course, another sewage treatment or a water treatment plant, because surface water has to go through more treatment than our current aquifer water. But even if we do the loop, a sewage or a water treatment plant is going to have to be built. So I really would hope that you will look at that as another source of water to support our use of our aquifer. I appreciate also the work that you've been doing, keeping water in mind. The other thing is I'm hoping there's, the law, which is interesting, is finding a way to encourage people to use less water for landscaping. So thank you.
So who wants to say something about the reusable water? Anyone? I'll bring it up real quick. So that is on the table. We do talk about that. Part of the system of the loop authority is that's a big part of it, is capturing that water and reusing it to extinction.
But it is evaporating if it goes down. It's seeping into the ground. It's being drawn off by other entities along the way. And now that Colorado Springs is looking at potentially building a reservoir to also capture this water, that all has to be considered. When we capture that water right here in the town of Monument, we're not losing it to those entities.
That option has been brought up and discussed.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, we're talking about horses.
Good evening, council members. Haley Chapin with Tri-Lakes Cares. I believe last time when I made this comment, I think it was almost witching hour at midnight. And so I don't know how many other people were still online or in the community. So I thought I'd mention it again, as well as in case any schedules have changed. Wednesday morning, or the first half of the day on Wednesday, Tri-Lakes Cares is holding a community outreach and advocacy educational session around a community poverty simulation to help community members understand what some residents in our community are going through and how organizations like Tri-Lakes Cares come alongside them to support them. So this is just an open invitation again to everyone in the community. If you are interested in joining us, you can sign up on our website. I also have some flyers which I'll leave here on the way out for anybody who wants. It's July 23rd from 8 to noon. It will be in the Learning Center at Lewis Palmer School District, Big Red over here in downtown. So again, just want to invite the community members. We want you to reserve your spot. so that we can assign you a role to play as you enter. You will be playing one of the members in our community who might be in need of some assistance. So again, just an open invitation, wanted to invite everybody to attend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wysong? We'll
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem and Town Council. Glad I was able to attend the 2020 or the 2040 strategy. Great start. I really liked the information that they presented. I just wanted to make some comments. House Bill 24-1152, the ADU. Colorado Springs made the decision not to allow any ADUs outside of the original home envelope in the WUI. So that's something that, a different approach, different attitude. And then people start saying, well, how do you define the WUI? Where is the WUI? So I've kind of made that a request at a county level, because there's multiple communities that are trying to understand where the state classifies the WUI. Colorado Springs has one definition. I don't know if you do, through the Monument Fire District. So it's something that I'm trying to figure out, because obviously everyone ought to be playing off the same playbook. And Mayor Pro Tem, you're right. 1107 may have been directly impacting or directed at us, but the town attorney, one of the issues that is currently in federal court, we filed a lawsuit. I can't remember if it was West Side Watch or Integrity Matters. I can't remember which. Still haven't gotten any kind of response yet. But it was kind of a twofold. First Amendment, limiting the public for redress. And then the fact that if developers lost and sued, they were not charged attorney's fees. However, if it was a community group, they would be charged. So that was the inequality, plus the inability to petition for redress. So anyway, I'll keep you posted on that one. On a nice happy note, I don't know if you're going to buzz me or not.
We won't buzz you.
Interesting document, and I'll leave this with you. It is the El Paso County 2024, I don't know if you could call it popular annual financial report. I think the only reason it's popular is that it's short. But it's a great tool because there's so many unique things that people don't understand about the county and city budgets and things like that. When you look at the property tax distribution, and it varies because some people may have metro districts and all the rest. But if you look at, a dollar bill, the county gets to keep less than 10 cents out of every dollar. The majority of it, or almost the majority, the largest share goes to school districts. So that's just something to keep in mind. And when you take that 10 cents and now you split it out between all the requirements of the county, like roads and what have you, putting in trails, we'll talk about that. It's got to come from somewhere, but when you look at individuals, it's there's not a lot. And I'm not sure if you in the Gazette over the weekend they had a article that talks about the 11 most populous counties. El Paso County being on the top. And what we don't get anymore is any kind of documentation from all the other counties, what their tax base is. El Paso County is probably either 9 or 10 as as far as the mills for property tax, even though we're the most populated, we have one of the lower of the top 10. So our focus has always been low tax, very fiscally conservative, to try to make those monies at the family levels go as far as possible. So are there any questions for me?
What I would like to say is thank you for being active. We have yet to have any county commissioner come to meet us at any time, and you're here frequently. So I do appreciate that very much.
Well, you're welcome. That was something I heard repeatedly. And so I've got Manitou Springs, Green Mountain Falls, Palmer Lake, and Monument, and I'm trying to rotate around. And if there is something coming up, please reach out. Let me know that I should be in attendance, so I can plan accordingly. And just a comment that Jeanette was talking about water. I'm on a number of the water committees because I know it's very important, at least to me, that we plan wisely. And I've been so far on about 4 of the CSU tours, and with a couple more to get under my belt. When I was sworn in, Travis Deal was there at the swearing in, and I was thinking, why in the world is he here? Well, now I understand is the water is huge, and the county has a big role to play, not directly, but indirectly. One of the frustrating things to me is you got the loop, you've got the Northern Delivery System, you've got the Pikes Peak Regional Water Authority, CSU, and there's probably some others in there, and it just drives me nuts. That's a lot of wasted time, effort, and energy versus getting a group together and try to figure it out to minimize all the engineering and re-engineering of everyone else's plans. So that's something that I'm going to try to do, is try to minimize or streamline that. And then the big question is direct reuse. Basically that's the toilet to tap. We're very lucky here that majority of our water is very, we're considered first use. The other is the indirect. And yes, it is exposed to leaching out in the ground, evaporation, and things like that. But for a lot of people, it's the psychological that you're not just taking it out of the pipe and turning right around and putting it back in your system. So it is very interesting. But again, if there's things you want me to report on at the county level, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to. Well, thank you very much.
And if you want to, in the future, we'll get you on the agenda officially so you can have more time.
Okay.
You can have more time now if you need it.
Do we want to talk about trails?
Let's keep it fair. Let's keep it fair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
We have Dan online. Do not know his last name. Dan, you can unmute your mic.
I was going to get to that. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. This is actually Shannon Clark. I'm using Dan Showalter's phone. And I just want to say thank you very much to the council, to the mayor, and to Bill Wysong. Thank you for all of your work, and Bill Wysong, thank you for your support and showing up and speaking. I wanted to, first of all, just say that the state of Colorado's government overreach is highly concerning. But that aside, I wanted to second what Brandy Turner and Janet Ladowski said about renaming Old Denver Road. As individuals who live off Old Denver, that area is important to us. There's a lot of changes happening. It's we know this has been in the works for a long time, and we've kind of been bracing ourselves for it, and it has been a big pill to swallow. But I think that one of the things that's important to the neighbors along Old Denver is that beautiful pasture that we've had for so many years, the donkeys and the cows. It's just been a big part of living on this side of 25 for all of us. And it's just been a very familiar landscape that we will sorely miss. And if we can kind of keep a piece of the old history intact and just kind of remember what it was by naming Old Denver, if Old Denver does have to be renamed, if we could have a name that kind of preserves the sentimental value of that space for us along Old Denver, that would be wonderful. The second point, I guess maybe it's a question. With regards to the limitation of the turf going into new neighborhoods, has anyone discussed native turf? So native grass, which I've been doing some speaking with CSU and a couple other entities. And the native turf is a blend of native seeds, buffalo grasses, blue grama as one mix, and there's another mix that I can't remember the name of right now. It's natural, it's attractive, it's an actual like grass turf. It requires 1/2 inch of water every 7 to 10 days once established. And it's not hot. Rock is very hot, astroturf is very hot. So, and I know that the state of Colorado, I think, don't quote me on that, is giving grant money to larger communities to put in native turf and instead of Kentucky bluegrass lawns. So I just was wondering if that was something that was kind of in the mix, in addition to astroturf and native grass turf is considered xeriscape. So that, I guess that's kind of a question. Is that something that anybody has been looking at or researching, or is that a possibility?
This is the first time we've discussed the bills that passed and what the town's requirements are. So I don't believe we've gotten into the detail as to what that means or whether an ordinance is going to come from it. I don't know if Dan, there's something that you want to add, maybe take this offline and provide Shannon a response.
Well, I know Cassie's done a lot of research and made a lot. And there might be something on our website already that talks about different types of plantings, but I'll have to look at the native turf specifics and see if that's something that we can at least help educate people that it might be, if it's available or not. So we'll take a look at that.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And well, I would encourage people to visit the Colorado Springs Utility Display Gardens up on Mesa Road. They have they have the native turf in their display gardens. They have native plants, and it's all of it is low water, all of it. So it's a really cool resource, and I would encourage people in the town who are involved in this kind of thing to visit, check that out.
Great, thank you. Is there anybody
Thank you.
else, Will, online?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Anybody else here would like to make a public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to future agenda item authorization.
Good evening, council. One item that we need to take care of is to appoint now council member Smith to the Monument 2040 Steering Committee, since he was appointed as a planning commission member. So I don't know if you want to take care of that at a future meeting.
Yeah, if we need to make it official, then. Yeah.
Okay. The second item, we've received a request from Village Center Metro District to investigate double taxation and consider suspending further charges to the residents of that area for the maintenance of town-owned roads within the Village Center Metro District. Is this something that council would authorize us to look into with our attorneys?
I'm gonna refrain from commenting.
So yes.
Yeah, I think that's a, yeah, a pretty important thing to take a look at.
I agree.
Okay,
Sure.
okay. Those are the only 2 items I have for future.
What?
No?
All right, before we jump into the reports, because I think there's gonna be some length to these, right? No? Okay, then fire away. Oh, they're all going up. It's like a whole gang of people coming up.
Try and sell us something.
You want us to leave?
The closer is here.
Lori Young, Finance Manager. My place is usually behind the scenes, but here I am tonight with 2 presentations for you. So I appreciate your time, Mayor and council members. My first presentation is an update on self-collecting the sales tax. My first screen is just some numbers. We started off the year slow with the self-collect as businesses were coming on board, learning the new processes and becoming informed. We are picking up on sales. So the first screen is numbers. Do you have any questions?
How come March, there's almost 1,000, no,
It's almost
200.
yeah. There's do a 200-300 jump.
Where is it? The screen?
Well, so that's a lot of quarterly filers. So we
Oh.
currently have,
Gotcha.
of the returns that come in, we have monthly filers, which is the default in our system. We have quarterly filers. And then in December, you'll see a big pickup because we have a lot of annual filers as well. We also have some what we call occasional. So the one-time farmers market sales, probably the street fair from 4th of July will come as that.
Makes sense.
There we go.
Yeah. Currently, we have almost 400 in-town businesses that are actually remitting and filing sales tax. Again, that number will change as the quarterly and annually filing businesses come through. 42 is my count. There's maybe more dropped off information. I've followed up on some delinquencies. We have a couple businesses that I had to visit multiple times in order to assist them with getting caught up, understanding the process, becoming current. I've also had to make some purchases at different businesses to be able to audit. And now that we're self-collect, we have the ability to do that.
So secret shopper.
Yes. Yes. It's a little uncomfortable, but yes. We've had businesses come by town hall. I'll stop what I'm doing. I come downstairs. I'll sit with them, log in, help them to the best of my abilities. Countless phone calls, emails, all kinds of communications. We currently have 18,000 businesses set up in our system. But what that means is not all of them are current filers. There are 0 returns. There are some fake accounts. There's some duplicate accounts. So the information that came over from the Department of Revenue, pre-populated accounts. Well, now that people are finally coming on board, they're also setting up their own accounts. So we have to delete the old. So there's a little bit of overlap. Another benefit of the self-collect process is we're capturing business licenses. So with Tina and Sylvia, we're working hand in hand. When they get a call about business license, they're also asking the sales tax question and vice versa. The next screen is just a quick example of the difference between the data that we receive. So the first line item, and I know it's small, this is all the information we used to see from Department of Revenue. So just basically a business name, their account numbers, and the sales tax that's remitted. The bottom, it's fictitious information, but we have now the ability to see the return, oops, my apologies, the return information. So it's data points, but something that we now have the visibility to see. My final slide on this is just some additional information. We are having better contact with our local businesses and other businesses, honestly. We're forming relationships with them, friendships with them even. I was going to do some shout outs, but was refraining because maybe that's favoritism. But yeah, our businesses have been very patient, kind, understanding, cooperative. We now have the ability to run reports real time. So if Suzanne or Suzanne, sorry, Jennifer or Madeline come to me and they want to know currently your top business report, it's at our fingertips. Same with, you know, all this transactional information that we now have and delinquency reports as well. So it was a labor of love for me, and I'm still working with Sophia, but it's, in my opinion and other opinions, it's well worth it. We haven't realized all of the dollar value to it yet, but we're still bringing businesses on board. We were surprised by the number of businesses who didn't get the information as hard as we tried to communicate. We don't have email addresses for all businesses. It was not a required field within the Department of Revenue. So as things are happening, we are getting more businesses on board. So that's just a quick sales tax update. If you have any questions.
Are you feeling like with the software and the learning curve and getting caught up to speed, are you feeling more comfortable with it now? And are things functioning as expected versus how they did initially?
Yes, they're functioning now. We had, I think with every software implementation, there's all like the hidden possibility. You cannot come up with every scenario. And so there's, for example, we've learned that certain browsers do not work well. There's certain, you know, bank codings that provide more difficulties with making ACHs versus the e-check process. So there's a lot of unpredictability, but we've worked through as many as we've had. And I think it's well worth it.
Okay.
I'm happy to hear that because we were thinking maybe it was going to go the other way. So
It's been a learning process for sure, but now that, like, as you learn, it becomes more repetitive and perhaps easier for the businesses to file their returns. We are still, I wouldn't say inundated, but we get many paper returns continually. We impose a fee for doing that and they pay the fee, but it is a bit of a labor intensive process, like taking to the bank and then also actually having to basically file their returns for them.
This is tax return or tax remittance?
The returns and the check.
We're processing tax returns?
Sales tax.
Sales tax.
Sales tax
Yeah.
return. Okay, not their
Not
business
income.
line.
Oh, no. Sales tax returns, but they'll send hard copies in the mail with payment versus electronic.
Bring back the 80s.
The moving to electronics across the board, bill payments and returns, we should start really looking seriously at what does it cost for us to process paper?
We impose a $25 additional charge for the
But-
paper filing.
But does that accurately cover
Oh,
the actual, right? Do you see, I think that's where the mayor is going. The mayor is going is is 20. We want to make it punitive, but we also want to make sure we're covering the amount of time and labor that you guys are putting in for the folks that are still wanting the 80s, right? So, and the leg warmers.
Good evening, Jennifer Phillips, Finance Director. That's one of the things we're looking at right now. Steve is actually leading that project to look at the cost of passing through some of these costs. It's something that we don't do. And so you'll be seeing that on your agenda, maybe September or a little bit later.
Thank you.
I mean, you guys do the work and do hard work. And so, and if it's additive, then that we need to, we need to fix that.
So there'll be both a fee
Okay.
study,
Okay.
which is coming, right?
Okay.
That's underway. And then also this processing fee pass through that we'd like to bring to you. So
Okay.
yes to both.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
And just as an FYI, for your information, and there's one other person in the audience who knows about this, Monument Sanitation District also had to, in an effort to try to steer people to electronic payments and away from physical paper checks, they instituted a $5 fee.
So it's not the paper checks because.
If you're gonna dialogue, she needs to come up.
So as part of the sanitation board, what we were looking at was the cost of mailing paper bills as opposed to them getting it from the internet. And the cost of the paper and the stamp came to about $2. So right now we're just charging $2 for people who need that. As far as people bringing in checks, because of the system we're using for processing money, it really didn't make any difference. So we're not charging for that at this point.
Thank you. Let's continue on with the reporting.
Yes. Thanks, Lori. Thank you, Janet.
Any other questions? Presentation is budget update. $2025 budget update. First slide are some revenue numbers for your review. Additional information on the sales tax line item that does not include June sales tax. So that's only January through May. We will receive June sales tax in July. So we'll be able to post that 30-day lag.
So that 24% really is just a 3-month. So
4 months.
Oh, okay.
How does that compare to last year? Where are we ish?
Uh,
Plus or minus? Same glide? But the same glide path? A little bit lower?
13% less.
Ooh, 13. Okay, that's a lot.
Okay. Stop going to Colorado Springs to spend your money on date night.
I mean, jeez.
I make up for it on Amazon. Just trust me on that one.
So any questions on this slide before there's a lot of numbers there. The other revenue line is low. That's a lot of our grant revenue that we haven't received yet. But any other questions?
So property tax should all be in by now. Is there still some that's hanging out there?
Yeah, kind of. It's high heavy in the front of the year, and then it gradually tapers off towards the end.
So are we
that's
gonna,
why we're at
are we gonna
72.
hit the budget number on that or not?
Ideally, we hope to.
So there's still
the-
money
the
coming
year-
in.
Yeah, this year's budget line, it was matched to 2023 actuals.
Okay.
So ideally, it will be above budget.
Do we know what percentage is there a way to track the amount of people that are property tax exempt due to age and years in their home?
I don't know.
I don't think it's
have a-
exempt, is it?
Well, there's some deduction or
There's a-
something.
Yeah, there's a,
It's a senior, it's a senior.
Well, there's Gold Star, there's senior, there's a bunch of different categories.
I can reach out to our contact and ask. I don't know. if
Just be
that-
curious, because if we started seeing people that like are rolling into that, like I will be in a couple of years. Well, I will be. And when we hit 10 years, it starts to reduce. And so it'd be interesting to know as those numbers start dipping as the population ages and is here for 10 years.
Are you asking for the quantity?
I'm just wondering if there's a way to track it.
Oh,
I don't know if there is or not. I mean, certainly if someone pays the full amount of property taxes 1 year and they hit 10 years and 50 something years old, 55?
65.
Oh, 65, right. It's going to be Carol that hits it, not me. Well, she's not watching. She's not watching.
He did that.
In
public, in session, on the record.
Any of you tell her I know where it's coming from.
I don't have a spare room, just so you know.
But it would be interesting to see what, if that deduction, if we're, because you're counting, you're seeing the numbers year over year and you count that into the budget. And then every year there could be a dip at a certain percentage that we can't account for because we don't know where it went.
sure. But then there's the pickup on the new builds. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because if that person rolls off, somebody else comes on, and then they've got 10 years if the age and then.
Right.
But
Just wondering.
Yeah, I can certainly reach out. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd spend a lot of time on that.
No, I just,
Yeah.
right. You got a lot of things. I was just random thought that went through my head.
Okay.
If there was a way to
Yeah.
figure it out.
The next slide are just a snapshot of current expenses. Do you have any questions? Comments? And this is general fund only. Sorry, that was the same with the revenue slide. We're just focusing on the general.
somebody's tightening their belts nicely.
I think all departments are on our call or our all hands on the last Wednesday, the 16th. There was a lot of conversation in that regard. Yeah, we're physically emptying our storage unit. Planning already emptied their storage unit, so that saves us a little bit. We're filling our own first aid kits now. Yeah, everyone's doing what little bit they can to try to make the biggest impact. Any other number questions on the slide? No? Okay. These are considerations that have been made already for the 2025 budget. The $400,000 was an adjustment from the 2A subsidy for the general fund. We moved that back. That was a sales tax allocation correction. Eliminating 2 positions that came into this year. That was the operations manager and public works director is now our esteemed town manager.
Parks director.
Oh,
Yeah, we didn't
Parks
get rid of him.
director, sorry, Parks director.
Tom saying what?
I just didn't want him to worry.
Sorry. Parks director. We didn't fill 2 positions in the admin. That was an HR position and finance. And then the three police positions that are not filled either.
Are we okay there, Chief?
Do you want to come up?
You go.
Or do I have to?
But budget cuts.
It's probably a much longer discussion, but we will be okay in the short term.
Thank you.
There was also a bit of a general fund savings on the bucket truck purchase, the $217,000 truck. 46,000 was allocated to the water department for their use. Will is constantly seeking savings wherever he can with IT needs throughout the organization. And then every leadership meeting, Jennifer brings that up with all of the directors to find ways to save any way possible. So it really is a constant thought in everyone's head because Jennifer puts it there, whether they like it or not.
Thanks, Jennifer.
And then these are some of the strategies that we're considering for the 26 budget as we start putting that together. There's a possibility of changing the mill levy. We're currently capped. The town has decided to make a conscious effort to cap that at the 5 mills, but per the current calculation, it could go up to 5.87. So that's a possibility. We're hoping all these new businesses that are coming into town will also boost sales tax. Again, on the meeting last week, Madeline made a big push for all of the town employees to start shopping local. And then our fee study. We hope that the fee study will bring some positive results towards the fees that we'll be able to charge. And in terms of expenditures, we're going to review the employees' salary and benefits for next year. I think Emily's already in conversation with our insurance provider for also reducing workers' comp and our P&C rates, whether we're overinsured, possibly changing some deductibles, maybe increasing them for the larger vehicles or the older vehicles. Reevaluating service levels throughout the town. Continuing, again, seeking cost savings in technology. And then reducing our capital outlays. They're tough conversations, but yeah, Jennifer's doing a great job of trying to figure out as best we can save as little bit as we can. And then the other major funds, there's a capturing some of the current statuses on those. Capital Project Fund, that's Jackson Creek Parkway. That's all I have. If you have any additional questions.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm Steve Murray, and I'm going to be giving you an investment presentation. I'm going to wait for the mayor to take a step back in here.
But if you go to the last slide when he comes in, that would be good.
You're already on the last
No,
slide.
you just say,
Just say, does anyone-
that covers that.
Yeah, does that cover it? Anyone have any questions?
Really be helpful.
While we have launched our citizen level advisory committee, calling a CSLAC. So that first meeting will be August 7th. So we'll be taking a look at some of our service levels and how we might help balance that with what our actual revenues allow for.
When the mayor comes in, you should, Stephen, you should actually say, thank you, council, for your input. We'll take that as action items. And we'll report back to you. Any further questions? Thank you. It'd be
This
like,
is all being taped, you know.
it'd be like, wait, what? What do we have to, what am I signing? What?
There's full endorsement.
Oh, it's 6-0. I mean,
Wait.
Yes, sir. We gave directions
yes.
on your behalf.
It's going to be a quick one, so I want to make sure you got all the information.
Thank you. That was not necessary.
Absolutely. So I'll be going over a quick overview of our investments for 2025. A quick reasoning why we're doing this is just for transparency, as well as the finance policy that Jennifer passed. It talks about we're going to be doing this on a quarterly basis, just to give you guys an information on where we're at, where the market's at, and some additional stuff to Lori's budget presentation. So as part of the primary principles that the town adopted was the preservation of the capital and protection of investment policies, the maintenance of sufficient liquidity to meet anticipated cash flows. This is really important with everything coming up. The attainment of the market rate of return, diversification to avoid market risks, and then conformance with the application applicable town policies, state statutes, and federal regulations. So we'll take the first look at our first one. This is the Wells Fargo sweep account. And what this is on a nightly basis, our operating account is swept down to 2.5 million. And the rest of that money is invested overnight at a 4 to 5% investment rate. So this equals roughly under $50,000 a month. And coming in just under $300,000 for that first 2 quarters of the year. And then we have a CD with First National Bank for $400,000. And this is a 1-year CD that they pay us a check every quarter that we receive. It's right around 4.75%. And those first 2 quarterly payments have come in at $1,500 and just above $2,000. And then we'll look at our largest investment account, and these are all related to reserve accounts. So all this money cannot be used for general purposes. And I'm only going to just highlight the big ones here. So we have our general fund reserve of a year to date of 16,000, the Monument Lake Storage Fund of 17,000, and then the Water Fund Reserve of 14,000, almost 15,000. And this continues on to the next slide here we have our largest one with a 2A water fund at almost $100,000. All these funds compiled for the first 6 months is close to $200,000. Then we have Bach Financials, and this is our smallest one. As you can see, some months are as low as $40. And this is depending on the time that we pay our principal and interest. So if we pay our principal and interest early, they receive their money. We're going to get interest on them holding it. The $11,000 that you see there at the top, that is our operating cost to maintain that account, to be able to make payments to that account. So that $40 is the interest on what is maintaining to open the account. And then our largest investment with Piper Sandler, and this is that $10 million investment. And that $10 million is not just for the general fund. That is made up of all of our funds, all accounts. And it is broken down into 4 different investment periods. The most recent one on June 30th was reinvested for 8 months and will be available again in February of 2026. We don't have official numbers, but I was able to reach out to our Piper Sandler rep, and he said that year to date, we are right around $318,000 for Piper Sandler. So Just kind of an overview summary page here. Like I mentioned, that to be determined because we only get that statement at the end of the year from Piper Sandler, and then we have to accrue it back into 2025. Is to be determined, but we're sitting right at 318,000. We have the 290,000 from SWEEP, and then the 200,000 from the Colorado Trust, and then a couple other small little players. Right now, we're just above 800,000 for the first half of the year. So, any questions?
Yeah, could we go back to that Christmas reserve fund of $67? I want to know what the plan is for that, please.
We definitely can. I believe this. Oh,
Oh, what? I don't remember ever seeing that before.
Me either.
it's a reserve account that I believe is for the police department, and they can do things for Christmas donations, and when they're out on patrol.
Okay. So everybody gets $1.
Yes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So these three updates, you've had the sales tax update before, but the budget update, you receive a monthly budget report that Steve has put together for you. But this is the first time we've come to you before council. We'll continue to do this on a quarterly basis. It's part of the policies that you passed, as well as this investment presentation. We would appreciate any feedback as how we can make it more helpful. We don't want it to be long and arduous, but we think that it's very important for us to come to you publicly on a quarterly basis and provide this information as part of our transparency and communication with our community as well as you. So any feedback would be helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last up is town manager report.
Good evening, council. Again, you do have the full report that staff does an excellent job of putting together. I just want to take a few minutes to highlight some of their work since I think it's important and for the public to hear. In June, we were in high event season. So we were preparing for concerts, or we were having concerts in the park and preparing for the 4th of July. And that takes a lot of work from Public Works and staff. Public Works and Park staff and also Portia. They really do a nice job of making sure the town looks really beautiful with the flowers, making sure the streets are clean, and just other projects, maintenance and concrete road projects. They've also done a lot of improvements to our stormwater system that have been important. In addition, we hire summer hires who also help contribute to this important work for our summer season. Cassie spearheaded having our new art installed for the Art Sites program. So those were all installed in June. As you can see, Verigy's been working on installing a lot of lighting in this building. So improving our lighting efficiency for cost savings. And our water department has been working on maintenance projects and improvements to our monitoring system. In finance and at the leadership level and really at all levels, as you heard from Lori, we've been working on the 2026 budget with trying to make sure that we're conscientious about decreasing expenses as we can. In our police department, Sergeant Joshua Marks received the 2025 Pioneer Award for his creation of the Tactical Patrol Officer Program. He received an award from the state on that. And then also in police, Kelly Rifle is now our full-time community resource officer. And staff, including Bob Cole's office, have been working really hard on updating parts of our code to be in compliance with our home rule charter. So that's just the highlights of our reports. Was there any other questions about anything that was in the full report?
Portia deserves a lot of kudos for all those events. And for those of you who missed it, we had a wonderful singing of happy birthday to Portia at concerts in the park. I asked everybody there to stand up and turn around and sing to her.
You really loved it.
She really did love it. She was like truly happy. It brought her a lot of joy. So thank you for that.
She deserves it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to see I could see her face from the the stage all the way to the back. It was really great. Great job on the report. This is the information, the pictures. It really tells a story that we've not seen in previous years. So appreciate it. Okay, we'll move on to council comments. I only have one. Since the person is here in the audience with us tonight, I figured it's apropos to wish Tommy and Comfort Treasures a happy 32nd birthday in business in the town monument. Thank you for still being that cornerstone in that building that was run by so many people in the town. I mean, it's been there for over 100 years now at this point. So thank you for all the work that you do.
I have full customers.
That's all I have. I know you have something to say.
I do have something to say. So I would like to say something about the road as well, since we also have some people sitting in the audience here. And just to put something on record and just have a little bit of backstory on that road. Because I was part of that whole movement back in those days of Save Monument. And the reason that road goes through the center of that project is because of the Save Monument group. And there's always been an attachment to the animals that were there, to the donkeys, to the cows that were there forever. And I'm happy that the road, or that there are 2 roads in there that got named after the donkeys, but you know, now we have this other one that was brought up for discussion to rename by the mayor. So I'm going to give him credit for that. And I'm also going to give him credit because I'm going to read a short letter for when I had talked to him about some names on this road that he said we should offer that to the public to make some suggestions. And Senna reached out to this group and asked them about changing the name. And I also followed up with that. And so the letter's from Jen Koopman. And so I just want to read this real quick. So it says, I'm unable to attend tonight's meeting. I'm submitting my comment via email. Council members, I'm writing to share my concern regarding the renaming of a small section of the current Old Denver Road that will change when the road is rerouted within the Connexus development. There has been no request for citizen input. Frankly, I'm disappointed. And again, in all fairness, we just had this happen last meeting. So there will definitely be attention to that. This small stretch represents what can happen when developers come alongside current residents and work together. There's a story behind the road, a story of dedicated residents that fought back, a story of a town becoming home rule to preserve the will of the people. The naming of this road should be something that alludes to the story and encourages future residents to ask about the origin of the name. Upon request from several members of Save Monument, the beloved donkeys are being honored by naming residential streets within the development Blueberry Lane and Miko Way. I would like to see street names continue to honor what used to be there. I propose the naming of this stretch of road be open to resident suggestion. It might even be fun to see, hear, read stories attached to the street names submitted for consideration. To begin, I propose Wandering Cow Way to honor the cows that escape their fence on a regular basis and provided hours of entertainment for our younger children and an opportunity for our older son to work with the rancher and often the police to herd the cows back into their pasture. Please remember this as you sit as council members elected under the Home Rule Charter, which was written and ratified by people to preserve the voice of the people. Thank you, Jennifer Koopman. So I just wanted to bring that up as we consider this.
And I have a comment on the same subject. I think Jen Koopman's suggestion was a good one. I think there should be some public input. And when I say public, I think it needs to go beyond Save Monument. And I would like to see something on a broader scale. And that was Jen's suggestion, and I like it, frankly. I don't know how we go by doing it, surveys,
you know, post on the website, blah, blah, blah. That would be my suggestion. Because I think there was more than just Saved Monument. 1,000 people showed up at a church. They weren't all Saved Monument. And some of us can't even be part of Saved Monument. So there you have it.
Yeah, I responded to Jen's email to the council earlier today. And I appreciate her comment. And to be open, in my email, I told her that I submitted, I think, 10 street name recommendations to Dan. I do agree that we should probably maybe advertise that on social media for input from not just the Saved Monument group, who's a fantastic group, don't get me wrong, but also residents of the town of Monument in this community, and also in Tri-Lakes, our Tri-Lakes community as well, the surrounding residents, because everyone's going to use that road to and from. Well, okay.
Yeah, this road just services that, it just services the trails end. And
I, you know, as an example, I mean, two of the recommendations I made is, one was Veterans Boulevard and the other one was Eagle Scout Way. Just because of the commitment that both Eagle Scouts do for the town, and also the how many veterans we have here. But it's just an idea. I'm not against any of it. I would love to see community input for the road, and there might be potential to use the Wandering Cows Way on another roadway, because there's still other development that's going to be coming up around that area as well. So that's my first comment. My second comment, I just want to thank Jennifer, Lori, and Steve for the fantastic work and the presentation that you guys are doing. It is crucial. And I know there's a level of uncomfortness probably talking to us. Did a great job. We're not going to shoot the messenger. I promise you that, but
Just the director.
yeah, just the field general. But it's crucial that we hear what you have to say, because we have to make some decisions that are going to affect not just everyone here that work in the town of Monument, but everyone in the community, especially when we start talking about the level of services and other things that have to go on. Everyone's got to tighten their belt. We're doing even more with less in a fiscally constrained environment. So I applaud what you're doing. Thank you.
One more comment. I will not say anything about what I submitted to you. But whenever somebody says social media, the hairs on the back of my neck stand straight up. Simply because I am not on social media, period, end of the story. People send me screenshots. That's the only way I know some of this. So if we rely strictly on social media, we lose a population, because I'm not the only one. And we have to broaden that. We have to make that a little more inclusive rather than exclusive. So if there's a way to do that, terrific. I rescind my other suggestions.
Okay,
Thank you. Thanks, Will. The road's taking up a lot of time, and I understand why. I just want to temper expectations. There's no hurry to change the name of the road right now. As you said, we're doing more with less right now. So I just want to make sure the community understands, you understand. We're not in a hurry. It's not a high priority project compared to a lot of the other things we're doing. We're about to enter budget season. There's a lot of construction that's going to be occurring. No one lives on that street at this time. So I just wanted to let you know that we'll get to it, but it's not something that we're going to be doing anytime soon. It was really just a kind of a suggestion that we would look into it. Okay, thank you.
any other council comments? If not, then I will look for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
On favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.